So I hope that answered a lot of questions. I tried to move through it as quickly as possible. I know you're trying to get to lunch, but take a look at those sample downstairs I have of the actual paver. You'll get a sense of what the enlarged joint actually looks like. And the aggregate there, for people who don't deal with aggregate or specifying every day, just to see the different sizes. So something to take a look at. And I'll open it up to questions.
How expensive is that refilling of the joints?
Yeah, I think that 20 cents per square foot is actually pretty accurate. We have a number of installations in other markets where they do the vacuuming process and restore those joints, and that's that number is based on those cost examples. So build that into your budget up front, and then as you, no problem. As you maintain your specific site, you can start to build in a better budget based on the frequency. But I think that's a pretty relative number for price. Yes, sir. I'm sorry. You know, that's a good question. That gets into manufacturing differences. And I'm going to save you the Unilock spiel. I'm going to talk specifically about permeable pavers. It's a pain in the butt. You have to lay the paver, and before you lay the aggregate, you want to seal it, and then you'll put the aggregate in. Okay, so you can't just seal over the sand installation like you would in a normal one. It's a little bit more involved in the process. Certainly, it does get done. It will help with the salt, and that's just on a standard paver. Okay, and that's kind of gets into the Unilock spiel a little bit. But you're only going to do it that one time. You're not going to pull that aggregate out and reseal it a couple of years later. So you only buy yourself a couple of years. And if you buy a Unilock product, you get a lifetime. Anything else? Yeah.
I see them digging up all the streets and putting pipes in them and just build a block underneath. Wasn't that illegal?
No. And that kind of gets to the same. It's beautiful, absolutely, and it's historic, and we'd love to see it, more. But it's really hard to drive on. It's really hard to install. It's not a consistent bottom, and so the material is a little bit more costly, and then so is the installation. They have to work to make sure that that setting bed handles the material. There's height tolerance issues, but to address your concern, it's not a permeable system. It is over compacted aggregate that basically wants that water to run off the surface, and oftentimes they're ripping up that Belgian block or that road because there's no inlet, so there's no storm water in that road to begin with. And we can rip up that road, that Belgian block, put in a permeable paver, give that same aesthetic, but still handle the storm water in a different way. So, absolutely. But what we're going to dig down to is below surface level. You kind of saw in those instances, in a roadway, in a municipality, we're going to be about 16 to 18 inches below the paver. So we're already going down below where that Belgian block was. We're going to get back down into those native soils, hopefully, and then depending on the street, if it's sloped or not, we'll address and by terracing or handling the slope differently. So, yes, sir.
Yeah, it says it's a very expensive option. What's the useful life of a good configuration?
So there's two parts to that question, right? There's two parts to that question. A, are pavers expensive? And B, how long of a lifespan is it? So typical installation, no contractor is going to give you like a square foot cost just off the head. They're going to want to look at the drawings, look at the project. But it's typically between $16 to $25 a square foot hand install, manual install, okay? Based on product, based on sub-base depth, there's a lot of asterisks after that number. With a mechanical installation, same range of asterisks, but we're about $7 to $8 a square foot. And this is geotextile fabric, under drain, sub-base, material installation. So we're very cost effective to a poured-in-place concrete system. Then you have to factor in all the stormwater techniques, drain inlets, storage tank, etc. So just from a pure material standpoint and handling the stormwater, pavers are all-encompassing. Poured-in-place concrete, you have add-ons. The longevity of the material, pavers are made so strong. They're going to give you that life like a Belgian block would. Okay? They're typically 25 to 30 years before you need to start worrying about rutting or unevenness, etc. It's not that the paver is going to implode or spontaneously combust after 25 years. It's that you're going to see settling. You're going to see rutting based on the use, etc. Those are the concerns after 25 years. Anything else?
Can you use them on a bridge?
On a bridge. What kind of bridge are we talking about?
Oh, it's the Conservatory bridge that was going up.
I don't know where it is. I'm sorry. I also got asked if they can be used on a parking structure. Here's the real issue. It's like Eric was talking about with a roof garden. It's not the product, it's not the medium, it's the weight. Can that structure, was it designed to handle not only the
It's not there.
well, I'm just trying to, so if they're making it new, they have to build those considerations in. You're building the material, you're building in the weight of the aggregate. Now you're also addressing water to, a structure that might not ordinarily retain that. And I think ultimately for a bridge, it's not a good use. I think you're going to want to get that off as fast as possible and then go to a place where we can infiltrate. That's the true benefit of a paver. But you might know.
Well, it's over a ravine into a park. It's just a small ravine.
Let's talk about it after this. Let's get into it. I don't know. Okay, so I think that's some
Thank you very much, Phil, for some of the dense urban areas where there isn't necessarily room for bioretention, permeable pavers, pervious pavement, and green roofs can be a good option. You go up or down rather than green gardens.